But we're going to jump into the thing today. One of the things that we've been talking about, and we'll take about 10 minutes and just teach a principle before we get into the Q&A. Scott and I and our staff and our team, we've been talking a lot about people bumping heads. And we just thought it would be cool to kind of talk with you guys. I don't know, have you guys experienced that in ministry? That people bump
It's
heads?
a loaded question.
Yeah, maybe they bump heads with you, or maybe they bump heads with each other. But it's like the more we grow, we got a great thing going on. But for some reason, we see people just bump heads with each other. You bring on a new staffer and they bump heads with the supervisor, they bump heads with people they work with. And we started talking about what do we need to do to help people not bump heads with each other, because it kind of creates this contention and this division, and it kind of slows things down. And so, why don't you jump in there very quickly and just share with us maybe a few keys that we've learned to help not bump heads?
Yeah, definitely. And so, we like Pastor Ken said that we've been talking with just the idea of what it means to not bump heads.
Hmm.
And so, one of the first things that you have said, and I think that's such a great principle for anyone, is that to have conversations quickly.
Hmm.
You said it, and I think it resonated so true. I've been in many organizations where they're like, "We'll talk about this in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month,"
Hmm.
and what that ends up doing is it pushes down the line. Everyone's anxious, everyone's frustrated, everyone's trying to figure out what that conversation is going to look like. But you said it in such an articulate way of just like, no, I'm going to have that conversation quickly. I'm going to get somebody on the phone as soon as I have a
Are
frustration.
you guys like that at all? I'm the kind of person, like, if you kind of getting on my nerves on Monday, we're gonna talk on Tuesday. Like, if I feel, you know how you walk past people and you're like, what's up with their energy? What's up with their vibe? I don't let assumptions go long. I'm gonna say, hey, can we talk real quick? Hey, what you doing tomorrow? Okay, stop by my office. Hey, can we grab coffee? And I think that when you also teach your team to have quick conversations, and I think I don't know, why do we not have conversations like that quickly? What prevents
Well, I
us?
mean, I think there's fear.
Uh-huh.
I think that we assume a
Mhm.
lot, and so we already assume that it's going to be a tough conversation. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
Like on Sunday, you pour so much out on a Sunday morning,
Mhm.
and then you're like, you see this person who's rubbing you wrong on a Monday. You're like, man, I'm so exhausted. I don't want to deal with it.
Mhm.
And
But
so
it gets worse if you do that.
it does. It
Mhm.
just makes the office weird. You're going to be weird on Tuesday because it's going to be weird on Wednesday.
Mhm.
I think just the reality of having these conversations quickly.
Mhm.
If we don't, what we do is we end up creating bad culture
Mhm.
and bad environment where people are talking. If you're not talking to them, you're talking about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just such an important thing just to have that conversation and see how you can.
And the conversation isn't, for me, it's not pointed. It's like, hey, you made me feel like this, or I saw this. Is that what you meant? So I'm always asking probing questions because I don't want people to feel like attacked.
Right.
And I know that sometimes I assume,
Yeah.
and it really didn't have anything to do with me. But I think the principle is, let's not wait to have hard conversations. And that's why I think people don't have them, because they're hard conversations.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if
Hmm.
it's easy conversations, that would be
That'd be
that'd be
easy.
great, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you said it in that thing. It's actually one of the key principles you
Hmm.
taught the other day, which
Hmm.
was assume positive intent.
Hmm.
Like we have to, like give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they just don't know. Maybe they're just
Hmm.
having a bad day. Maybe there's just something off about them.
I don't know. I kind of quickly jumped, period. I just had somebody post something on social media that I accidentally saw. And you just like, all you can, it almost like your flesh will demonize a person right away. Like, okay, I'm Xing you off my Instagram. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to come to church here no more. But maybe the person is just immature. Maybe they just don't understand. And that principle is so important. Give me another principle, not
Oh,
bumping heads.
not bumping heads. Let me go over here real quick. So, I think to learn different personalities. The Bible talks about it, and it
Mhm.
says that there are many parts to the body.
Yeah.
Everybody has the different perspective and their different principles, and I think that's one of the things that we have to consider is that every single person has a different personality,
Uh-huh.
and we shouldn't let the personalities frustrate us.
Yeah.
There's a gifting. We had someone who came and spoke at our church who said that their kid was frustrating them, and they realized it was the unredeemed qualities
Mm.
of that child.
Mm. I
And
got a
so,
lot of that happening in my house with
don't
two
you?
teenagers.
Yeah, me too. I have a 20-year-old son
Mhm.
who I'm like, man, he's frustrating me a little bit right now,
Mhm.
and I'm like, but it's an unredeemed quality.
Yeah.
The qualities that he's demonstrating are just they're frustrating to me as a father,
Mhm.
but he has some things that just need to be redeemed.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've always tried to do is I want to be the kind of leader that I can work with people regardless of their personality, their race, their background, or their age. It's like you put me in the room and I'm going to figure you out. And I think that you want to identify leaders who are like that as well, People who, how some people, they can only be cool with the Republicans, or they can only be cool with the Democrats, or they can only be cool with young people, or they can only be cool with people who have the same skin tone. Those probably aren't the best leaders. For me, at least in a diverse space, I'm trying to find people that if I put you around the table with anybody, you can kind of almost be a chameleon and almost figure it out,
Yeah.
figure other people out.
What has been the most difficult
Mhm,
thing for you
mhm,
over the years
mhm,
when it comes to that? Like, I think
mhm,
obviously there's different people around the table. I think even me and you working together, we come from different backgrounds, different perspectives. Um, and maybe even just me, like what have you done to
mhm.
see it from my perspective?
Just that, ask a lot of probing questions. I'm generally interested in people that don't look like me and don't think like me. So I try to be very inclusive instead of exclusive.
Mm,
So
that's good.
some people would look at, they would look at if you're different, like let's say different cultures, well, then you're an outsider. I embrace them intentionally on the insider and I say, what music do you like?
Mm,
And so I actually embrace diversity. I think it's a powerful thing that we have different taste and we like different food. And so that is like my mindset towards being able to be with different people. So you could put me in with people from the hood, I'll be cool with them. Like, what's up? What's up? You could put me from people in the White House, I'd be cool with them. Like, I can figure that out. And I just look for leaders that can do that as well. But
yeah,
yeah,
it is powerful.
yeah.
I mean, there's
Well, that
power.
helps you not to bump heads because
Right,
I'm inquisitive
right.
and like, okay, tell me more about you.
Yeah, that's really good. I
Mhm.
think it's a key leadership principle.
Yeah,
You talk about it all the time, just ask probing questions. Ask great leaders ask great questions.
yeah,
And so how are we always asking questions to continue to lean into what God has for us?
yeah.
So
What does you think? Bumping heads.
um, so pride is one of the biggest reasons that people bump heads.
Yeah.
And so we have to choose effectiveness over ego.
Okay.
And I think the idea there is just that we have to be intentional
Hmm.
with what is being effective in the church.
Hmm.
And you've talked about it many, many times that it's not about your preference.
Hmm.
It's about what God wants for you. It's about the presence of God.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you have to let your preference die
Hmm.
so that you can see the presence rise.
Well, when I see people bump heads, specifically, you bring on a new staffer. And I always tell people if you come onto a leadership position for the first 6 months, just learn.
Right.
Just be humble. Just learn. Learn the culture, learn how we do things. Sometimes people try to assert, well, I came from this church, I came from this organization, and they come in and they try to change things too quickly and they just bump heads with people. But to me, humility is your superpower.
I think that one of the things that we talked about just with our staff was eliminate the need for hurry in a lot of situations. I think a
Mhm,
lot of times it's everyone has the same perspective, same goal,
mhm,
and when you're rushing so many things, what you're doing is you're ending up with an opportunity for conflict. And so conflict can be slowed down
mhm,
when you slow down and just think about the details
mhm,
beforehand.
mhm,
You get into an event or you get into a circumstance or situation, and all of a sudden it's like I have all of these different things happening,
mhm.
and that's when tensions rise.
Right.
And then I think on the other side of that, though, and one of the principles is that you need rest.
Mhm.
You have to rest.
Okay.
And so, as a staff person, like we've even adjusted our schedules recently
Yeah.
to make sure that it's intentional for rest. And so, not hurry in work because work is always going to have pressures as far as ministry goes. You're
Mhm,
always going to be go, 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 go.
mhm.
But here's one of the biggest things is that um, when you're down, you're down. Like
Right.
take some time, rest, relax, turn on a movie, take a nap.
Mhm,
One of the things that you said to me a long time ago, you said the best thing that you can do is just go take a nap if you're frustrated.
mhm,
Just go find if you're tired,
mhm.
you're just probably really tired and you need to take a nap.
Yeah, I think the reason that we're talking about this today is because when you have too much bumping heads, and you guys know, it just slows down everything, and it makes like ministry not fun any longer. And like, so I think what we're trying to figure out is how do you have strong people, opinionated people, type A people, but we still work together.
Right.
And I think we've done that pretty well. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a pretty strong personality. I'm pretty a strong personality. I'm from a second chair leader perspective. How have you done? Like, what's your mindset and heart set with working with somebody like me?
Yeah. I mean,
He
I
said,
think,
"Yeah,
yeah.
like this is a whole situation. This is a book."
No, listen, every lead pastor is leading from a place of vision. And I think a long time ago, I realized that no matter what you do, first off, you can't offend me. There's nothing you can do to offend me.
That'll preach.
You have told me before, go lose some weight,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Did I
okay,
say it like that? I
yeah.
didn't say it like
No,
that.
you said it much nicer. Um, and
That sounds
yeah,
crazy.
but like, well, you just said, hey, you look like you've gained some weight. Are you doing healthy thing? Like, how are you being
Okay, well,
healthy?
that's about
Yeah,
that's a big difference than
yeah,
go lose some weight. But that,
yeah.
thank you for saying that's how you process.
And so I'm like, all right, I heard go lose some weight,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, at first you could be like, man, I've been working out. Like,
Right.
I'm doing what I can. But I was like, no, my pastor cares about me.
Mhm.
I shifted my perspective.
Yeah.
It wasn't about what you were saying, it was about why you were saying it.
Okay.
And as a second chair leader, it's not about how you say things and
Mhm.
what you do. And you articulate things very well, but
Mhm.
I also go through the why.
Mhm.
Because you care about me and that I want to be doing this ministry forever. That's
Yeah.
why you want me in shape.
Okay.
And so it's about how we process it,
Uh-huh.
how we think about the details. And I think if you're looking for a second cheerleader, you're looking for someone to come into your staff, you're looking for someone for a heart for the house and a heart for your pastor.
Yeah.
And those are the most important things. The skills and that's important. But if they don't have a heart for the house and they don't have a heart for the pastor, you shouldn't hire them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we've been working together about 9 years and we've probably had how many like blow ups have we had?
Probably three.
And I don't think they were blow ups. They
No.
were more like we were both frustrated. But
Yes.
3 out of 9 years, that ain't bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad. So I think that there's a lot that you could probably speak into it because you probably got to process a lot away from me about how to deal with me. And I think that we all need second chair leaders. Like if Billy Graham without a team wouldn't have reached the world,
Right.
whoever it is, man, they always have a great team around them.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, the Lord told me, build a team, build a building, build a brand. Build a brand more like build a culture. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But the building a team, I thought it was going to be like a one and done. Like I've arrived.
Yeah.
It's like I've been building teams for years. And
Over
it's
and over
like
again.
for the rest of my life, I figure I'm gonna be building this team
Yeah.
and building buildings and building brand.
Over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. Anything else comes to mind though that you would say to a second chair leader
Mm.
about how to work other than don't be easily offended
Yeah. Well, I'm
or take
so
no offense.
take no offense.
Mhm.
The second thing that I would say is position yourself to hear their voice and to copy them. Not that you're an identical, I'm not a clone of you. I never will be a clone of you.
Right.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean into what you say, how you say it, and what you do.
Mhm.
Even today, we're texting back and forth. I'm going to lean into it,
Right.
whatever I need to do. And you're looking for someone with that heart.
Mhm.
And listen, I have 22 years of ministry experience.
Mhm.
And I get it. 22 years, you can think, well, I should know this. I already done this. I've been there. And I have decided in my heart that no matter what, no matter if I've learned it already, I'm going to relearn it in this
Mhm.
house, in
Mhm.
this culture, from
Mhm.
this lead pastor.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah, because I probably send him a text or some kind of instruction every other day.
yeah.
Hey, do this, don't say this, don't look at it like this. And you have to be very mature in yourself, but also humble at the same time to say, okay, he sees something I don't see. Let me tighten up. Not because you're always normally like, okay, got it. Okay, got it. If you ever don't got it, please ask a question now.
Oh, I will. I definitely, for sure.
Let's get to some Q&A today. What you guys got for me, man? Let's talk about your pain points. Let's talk about ministry growth, church growth. Let's talk about where we're going. Let's talk about revival. Let's talk about the Bible. So I got one comment here. And why don't you use your reaction button at the bottom, guys, and hit the reaction button that raises your hand. And then I'll call on you if you want to come on live. If you don't want to come on live, put it in the comment section because I think I can see the chat here. The first one comes in from Richard. He said, thank you for doing this. We've had our church for almost 6 years, 2 years of launch, 4 years after launch. And during that time, we've stayed around 20 to 35 people without growing much beyond that. We're honestly trying to discern whether we should keep pushing forward, believing for breakthrough, or whether this is a sign to close the church. My wife has been feeling discouraged while I tend to be someone who keeps pushing through. So we're trying to seek wisdom together in this season. What are some signs a church should continue even when growth is slow? And what are some signs it may be time to stop? Sorry for the long question. No, this is a great question.
Great question.
Now, let me go to the top of it again. We've had our church for about 6 years. Okay, in 25. Okay. I'll just share with you a principle. And I really appreciate this question.
Yeah.
I'll share with you a principle that my pastor gave me. So I was in Washington, D.C., and I owned a real estate company, and the Lord called me to pastor in Gainesville. I didn't know one person in Gainesville. And I went to my pastor and I said, I feel God's calling me to pastor. And he says, I'll give you my blessing, but this is what I want you to do. He says, you got 3 to 4 years to get about 100 people. He says, if you don't have 100 people in 3 to 4 years, I want you to prayerfully consider coming back. I'm not saying that that's like the golden rule, but that's something that I always share with other pastors because there's a principle, and this is what he said. I ain't studied this in years, but there's a principle in the Bible where someone was like, tending a field, and they didn't get a harvest for like 3 years. And they came to the owner of the field, and he was like, "Okay, I'll give you one more year." And so my pastor took that and say, "Okay, 3 to 4 years, you want to try to see some fruit, and if not," he said, "I want you to come home." To answer the question, I can't tell you what to do because only God can tell you what to do. If He has you stewarding 30 people for 30 years, I guess that your obedience to that would be great. I think the other thing is that we all believe that there should be growth in the Great Commission and reaching people and stuff like that. So I think you're at a point where you're trying to figure out, do I have grace for this? And is that grace shifted? And I think the most humble thing that you could do is say, man, if it has shifted, is that okay? And what's next? So it's both. It's both, you know? And I think that if you do decide that, hey, I want to do something different, I think that your skill, your anointing, and what you've learned could be great partnering with someone else,
Hmm.
partnering with somebody that you feel like, man, they got that thing flowing. Let me just come and be a part of what they're doing. Cause I know that I would do that. I'd shut this thing down in a second if I came to the place where I felt like, oh man, this thing ain't going the way that I went. So it's a mix between staying encouraged and staying in faith. But I think 6 years into it, you're asking the right question. And so I hope I was clear with that. And I pray God gives you great wisdom of what to do next. Um, do I have anybody with their hands up? Okay. Freeman, what you got today?
Hey, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for this. It's really, really good. One question I have, and I've
Mhm.
seen you do this along the way, is you know how to navigate conversations when tensions are high
Mhm.
and really have a conversation. Can you speak to how to do that? How to have conversation with your team whenever, people's emotions are high, there's emotional involvement. Can you talk about that?
All right, so I'm going to try to have the conversation as quickly as I can, and I'm going to try to bring the people that need to be in the conversation in it. If it's a one-on-one conversation, cool. But if I need to bring in 2 or 3 people into the conversation, I will. I'm a human being, so I'm automatically going to the meeting tense just like anybody else would. I might have thought about it all for the last 2 days and all night last night. So I'm going into the meeting, but you won't feel that when you come into the meeting. I'm going to start off, hey, how are you doing? How's your family? So forth and so on. And then I'm just going to ask a probing question. Hey, so lately this has been happening. What do you think about that? Or I saw you post this. I had this conversation with a leader this week. I saw you post this and it didn't hit my spirit right. What did you mean by that? And man, we had this whole long conversation of the pain that he was experiencing, different things, just because I asked a probing question when I wanted to be like, why are you posting this stuff? But I came at it more like, oh, tell me more about that. Why would you do that? So I'm big on probing questions because probing questions, and I'll give you like 5, 6, 7, 8 probing questions. What did you mean by that? How did that make you feel? Why did you think that was appropriate? Is there another way you thought I could handle it? If it was you and you were talking to me, how would you want me to approach this? And so I'm gathering a bunch of details because I want them to feel heard. Because many people, they don't feel heard in conversations. And then I'm saying, then I'm going to ask a probing question. Can I tell you what I would have done? And if I say yes, okay, now you're giving me permission. Or can I tell you what I would want you to do? Yes, okay, this is what I want you to do. One, two, three, four, five. Not too much, maybe one, two, three. What do you think about that? Another probing question. And then I'm gonna leave that meeting and I'm gonna give them a 30-day track or a 60-day track. Over the next 30 days, this is what I need to see from you. And we're gonna come back and we'll have another conversation about that because you want to see, can people grow from these
Yeah.
discipleship
Right.
questions that you're having?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my basic outline. Did that answer that okay?
That was good. Real
No,
quick,
that
I'll
was really
say
good.
here's the one thing that out of all that you've showed me over the years is that when emotions get high,
Mhm,
step away for a second.
mhm,
Don't keep pushing in the like let the emotions settle.
mhm.
Step away. Like, hey guys, we're just gonna take a 5 minute break and we'll be back. And then come back in.
And you don't mean let it settle for days.
No, 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Five.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like if you're in a meeting
right.
and
If you're in a
stuff gets
meeting or
tense.
something gets tense, like, hey, can we just step away for 5 minutes? Let's just let things settle down, and then you come back and you address why everybody felt that way, and then you move forward. And
Yeah,
yeah, we've seen that
yeah.
over the years.
Okay, guys, at the bottom there's a reaction button. And so please hit that button if you have questions, and then I'll kind of call on you. And let's see what we have here. Someone wrote into the chat and said, shift your perspective, prod down, continue to add. Okay, I don't see any other
I have a
questions.
question here. It
Mhm.
says, any wisdom or suggestions on how to continue to grow when you face organizational limits?
How to continue to grow. when you face organizational limits? What comes to your mind?
Well, I mean, just like we're talking about, even right now, we have organizational limits. We have our building can be
Mhm.
an organizational limit.
Okay.
We have whether it be the structures or the systems that you have in place, they
Mhm.
can be organizational limits.
Mhm.
Your leadership can be organizational limits. So,
Oh, well, let me ask you guys, what organizational limits are you facing? Shout out at me real quick. Give me one that we can work through together.
Staffing.
Staffing.
Yourself. Sorry.
Hey, Youssef, what kind of staffing limit are you facing?
So right now, I'm just kind of redoing everything, making sure I'm getting the right people in the right seats
Uh-huh.
and kind of navigating, moving people. Probably having people in the wrong place because, you mentioned this, I think last time about having that pastor's heart.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't want to make that decision so people's in a position longer than what they should be. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of making changes there. But as I'm making changes there, I'm seeing that the leadership is kind of shrinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your question, what would be your question about that? Because to me, that's a good thing. I
It's a
think
good thing. Okay.
shrinking leadership is good
Okay.
because remember last time we were together, I talked about if people aren't leaving, you're not probably leading. And I
Correct.
just feel like every once in a while, the tree needs pruning so that it can bring forth more rich and more excellent fruit. So whenever our growth happens, like, and then, and then, and then, and it's like this continue. And when the tree grow back, it grows back like bigger and better. So shrinking staff isn't bad. I feel like it gives you an opportunity to move people into the right seats and stuff like that. As long as you have a culture of leadership where you can kind of build people back up, I think it's
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
But your pain with that, is it more of like an internal pain of like,
It's an internal pain because you don't want to, but you have to.
yeah,
And you have to make certain changes. But some of it be like, okay, now I have less leader, but now I don't have nobody in that space.
okay.
But it may be somebody there that I probably never seen because I had that leader there too long.
mhm.
Okay.
So
Okay. So how I look at it, and it might just be where I am 19 years into it in our context, but my major job right now as lead pastor is to raise more money than we need and to raise up more leaders than we need so we can answer God when he calls. Let me say it again, to raise up more money than we need and more leaders than we need. And I think, regardless of where you are in ministry, even if you have 50 people or have 150 people or 3,000 people, I think us developing leaders is going to be huge. Because if you don't develop leaders, when you got somebody there that shouldn't be there, you feel like I got to keep that person because you don't want that seat to be empty. So I think, Yusef, what I hear is more so of, okay, let's develop a leadership pipeline. Let's try to figure out how to get more leaders in place, and so you'll have people ready when it's time to make some moves and people go and stuff like that.
That's good.
Is that good? Lester,
yes, sir.
Lester, what you
Thanks.
got?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is great. So I have a follow-up question to that then, Pastor Ken.
Uh-huh.
So in moving people out of the wrong seat,
Uh-huh.
putting people in the right seat, if I have a leader, like recently we've been having a pastor that's been visiting our church, and I met with him for lunch last week, just took him out to lunch and kind of felt his heart. And what do we do in that case if there is a ready-made leader? Not saying
Hmm.
I'm gonna put him in a position when he joins, no. But if there's a ready-made leader, what's the timeline on him sitting under our ministry before making him or allowing him to lead in some areas?
I don't think that there's a specific law, so you got to be spirit led. When we were in a hotel or we were a smaller church, I would move people into ministry quickly because of the vision and what we needed and the growth, and I needed some help. But I would say now, looking back, there were a lot of people that I put in leadership positions back then that would never be leaders right now. It wouldn't be people that it would even be team leaders or small group leaders, but I ordained them in different things because of the season that I was in. So I don't feel like it's going to be a perfection thing, but I'll tell you this. I try not to give people titles too fast. So I would try to give him the work before I gave him the title. So if it's a pastor and he's like, oh, I'm with you, so forth and so on, he still needs a season of testing and trying so he doesn't cause division and try to implement the vision that he had in your church. You need to give him Give him a season of, hey man, okay, why don't you do this and see how faithful that he is? Why don't you do this? And sometimes it's like, don't give him something like, oh, he's minister or he's elder or he's deacon. No, hey, can you just steward youth ministry for the next 6 months? Yeah, I know it's not a forever thing, but I really need some help here. And then we can talk about what's next at the end of 6 months. And then what you're doing, you're just tracking for heart, you're tracking for alignment, and you're looking for those things. And so I would be slow to give actual titles and I would be quicker to give actual work. But what I would not do is make your church like the government, where the government, like you got, I think it was like the GF or GS 12, 13. It's like, it's all based upon seniority, not a diss to the government, but it's based upon seniority. So the longer you are here, the more promotion you'll get. And sometimes in church, we do that where it's like, well, I got this person that's been with me 10 years, but God sent you a leader that's been with you for 1 month that will run circles around that person that's been there for 10 years. So now you got to figure out how to move their process faster. Because if you have equal processes, like, oh, this is just what we do, everybody has to go through the same thing. You will have some people that just they'll fall away because they are more ready made. And so that's a real discerning thing. That's a spiritual thing. And so I'm not giving you specific answers, but hopefully I gave you some framework to think through. What you think about that, Lester?
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Just
Anything else comes to mind though from that?
no, I've learned early on not to give people titles so
Hmm.
fast. I've done that early on. And now it's like now to pull it back from you because it's like you're not really being efficient in that area. So I like the whole idea of steward this well. Now I do
Right.
have a follow-up question. Sorry to
Uh-huh.
ask all the questions. I do have a follow-up question. So I know one of the things you told us when we first met you is that me and my wife would work together in ministry. Is there anything, because I feel like she would be a great second chair leader.
Hmm. Yeah, she would.
Is there anything I need to do in order?
Hmm.
Do I need to put her through like a class, or do I need to install her like I was installed? Because we're looking at making a transition for her becoming executive pastor in October, because that's just how we operate, just kind of fiscal year wise.
Okay. Okay.
So, is there anything special I need to do in order to make that happen? I need to get with you and kind of like walk us through that, or like, do we need to do anything in that area?
Uh, I mean, we can definitely have a conversation about it. I mean, what do you mean? Are you trying to ordain her and she's not ordained, you mean? Or are you
Yeah,
just trying to
not
give her more responsibilities?
yeah, just give her more responsibility because she has a gift of administration, and so
Uh-huh.
give her more. She's been doing it without the title.
Yeah,
When
I don't think
we
a class is the answer. A class
okay,
is not the answer to do that to me. Because I know you and I know her. I think you guys really having a conversation about the role she plays and making sure that um, your position doesn't affect your marriage negatively, probably,
yeah, and we
and
got to talk about that too. Yeah,
and then just go ahead and put her in. To me, she's a founding person, so she don't need a class. She just need to go out and do it. So I
okay,
wouldn't try to put constraints
okay,
around her. It's like, no, baby, but you got to be clear with what you want her to do, because if
okay,
not, she might just run over into this, and then it cause problems at home, and y'all be like around the kitchen table, like, why you do this? Or maybe that's
okay.
just me and Tabitha. I'm
No, it's
sorry.
happened to me too. As the
It's happening.
executive. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking to
It's
that,
happening.
anything
Yeah.
comes to your mind that you,
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. We had this early on where I would make decisions and she was serving and I would make decisions sitting around the same table and not tell her, not communicate to her. She's your spouse, so you always need to communicate, have conversations, give clear expectations
Mhm,
and boundaries.
mhm.
And so if you don't do those things, you'll
But
end up,
to me, my wife is my secret weapon.
yes,
She's the sauce. So I'm always very attentive to how I'm leading her. There was times when she had babies, I would pull her out a little bit, but she was never completely disconnected. And now she's kind of stepped back more into an executive pastor role along with Scott and also Aaron and taking over more stuff. And then, so I'm always watching her capacity and so forth and so on because she means so much more to our organization than the role she fills.
agreed.
It's like spiritual
Yeah,
mom. Like she could do nothing but show up and just her presence alone is valuable to us.
right.
but I've always been very attentive to her to try to pull out the gold. And so there's been some seasons that she'll get into a place where she doesn't have a grace for, and I'll pivot her. I'll be, hey, sweetheart, I don't need you to do that any longer. But starting the church, she was over graphics. Then she was over the finance team. Then she was over kids' church. Then she preached and she did all this stuff. And as we grew, I would say, okay, give me that back. I want to put somebody else there. Okay, give me that back. And so my wife has always been very open-handed. She's not married to anything. So right now she's into organizational structure. Let me re-go through the bylaws. Let me make sure we got the right structure. Let me make sure that everything is legal. Let me make sure that the HR is cool. So she's really hands-on, and she can go preach and prophesy, but for whatever reason, she has a strong government and administrative gift. So I'm like, okay, let me release that. I need you just, yeah, get us all in order, you know? And so, but that takes a lot of, we've been working together. We were working together in business even before ministry, years before. But I think it just takes a lot of communication, and it takes alignment too,
Right.
knowing the part that I play. But she will submit to me as a lead pastor because of the office sake. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys do that very well. And I'll say that's not that's one of those things that is done over time.
Hmm.
Like I've seen you guys in meetings disagree, walk out, and you guys be completely fine.
Hmm.
I've seen some other couples, they get into a fight in a meeting and they'll leave and they'll be frustrated at each other all day.
Yeah.
And it's leaving things on the table, knowing
Right.
the right room, where to have the conversations, when to have the conversations,
Hmm.
and making sure that you guys love each other so much that you like, okay, that's here
Right.
and that's there.
Yeah, I don't think every couple has that grace.
Right.
I know guys who their wife doesn't do anything but take care of the home, and that's applaudable to me.
Right.
So you almost got to figure out what. So my wife, she wants to be involved, but I have to kind of help her manage not taking on too much as well. So
Yeah, that's good.
Jacob wrote in here. Let's see what he says. What were some of the main principles that helped you go from 6 people in your home to 200 people, then 200 to 800, then to 1 or 2 campuses, then launching your first international campus? Any universal principles? The first one is don't quit. I guess there is a time for quitting, but not quitting, doing something different or pivoting is
Right.
what I would say. Like the first question that somebody asked me. There is a time for pivoting, but then at the same time, there is this. Um, we've always seen people getting saved. We've always seen church, growing as people leaving and stuff. I mean, I had a 10-year span where I felt like we were stuck between 800 to 1200, and that was tough because it just felt like you're spinning your wheels. I don't know if you guys ever felt like that before. It's just like, man, I'm trying everything here. I'm spinning my wheels. But so to me, I would say don't quit. There's just something about faithfulness,
Yeah.
something about just keep showing up. Anything comes to mind for you?
Well, I mean, I think there's the spiritual, right? Prayer, prophecy, making sure that you're doing what you need to do in the spirit. But I think there's also the practical. What are you doing? Is your product good? We've talked about this before. Is your product good? Are you actually doing promotions and advertising? There's a spiritual and a practical side to all of this. And if your church isn't growing, but I mean, when I go back to when I came to this church at 600, it was 600 people to 800 people, and then we opened up a second campus. It took a step of faith. It took us actually going to find a building, go and find a location, go and so there's a spiritual and the practical that goes with both of it. And I think anytime that you're doing it, you're seeking God's wisdom and direction, but then you're taking that step of faith. And so I think it's just important to continue to take that step.
I would say another just universal principle is you need a model. I've always been big on models. I think one of the worst things, especially as lead pastors do, is we can get isolated. But I've always sought out mentorship, even if it's not like direct mentorship where I'm calling you, like get me in the room with somebody that makes my baby leap, so to say. Somebody that, like, for example, right now there's a guy named Mark Veracquez who has 40 campuses in 20 nations. And when I look at him on social media, or we do things together, or we're at a conference, something about him, I'm like, okay, I got to get there. I don't know where he is, like Singapore or somewhere. I just got to get there. I got to get in the room. It was the same thing with Russell Evans from Planet Shakers. I got to go to Australia. You're telling me you're going to go down under? Yeah, 15-hour plane flight to do what? I don't know. Just go sit in a conference. Right. I think that that's important, that I need to have a model. So if my small groups are not good, I got to find somebody who does it good and figure it out. They don't have a special God.
Right.
They just know something I don't know. If money's not good, I got to find somebody who got a lot of money, and I got to figure out, how are you raising this kind of money?
Right.
You don't have a special God. You know something I don't know. If my what is it called when people come through growth track and assimilation is not good,
yeah.
I'm going to find somebody who's killing it at assimilation, and I'm going to say, how are you doing it? and I'm going to figure it out. And it might take me like 5 years. It took me 5 years to change culture, but I just don't feel like people have like a special God
Right.
or special anointing. I just feel
Yeah.
like they know something I don't know.
Yeah.
And so that would be a universal principle for me.
Yeah, I think that's such a pivotal point. Like getting a good model, and then, but you've always done this very well. Stay within your culture.
Mhm.
The model doesn't change the culture.
Right.
Your culture's still the same.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
but what I mean by that is like people love our culture,
yeah.
and that's why people are attracted to it. The culture of a live church is so attractional.
Yeah.
And so I think it's find a good model, but keep that culture.
I mean, well, that's a whole different thing because culture is something. Culture will eat vision for lunch, and you can have a great vision and bad culture, and be like, "Why didn't this feel right?" Culture is how it looks, tastes, feels. It's like, Chick-fil-A sells chicken and KFC sells chicken as well, but you just feel different about the chicken. Why? Because the culture at KFC is different than the culture of Chick-fil-A. It's just a culture. It's how it feels. It's how it looks. So years ago, I got crazy culture. I got crazy about the culture, language, how it looks, how it feels, vibes. And for some people, they don't think that's spiritual, but it leads to a spiritual conclusion. So this year so far, within the first 4 months, we've had 4,807 salvations. 4,800 salvations. And so is that culture? No, it's not just culture, but culture has a big part to play in it that we've created an evangelism, soul winning culture,
Yep.
a discipleship culture, an inviting culture. And culture doesn't happen overnight. It's like every single week. And I only get leaders that can check culture. So it's almost like I need people who understand culture and then willing to, hey, we don't do that here. No, we don't do that here. Okay, let me have that conversation because culture is just that important.
Yeah.
It will actually kill the vision.
Well, and the people who say that culture like is
Mhm.
not that important,
Mhm.
if you look at what the disciples did, all they did was go and they spread the gospel
Mhm.
and they spread culture. They
Mhm.
told them what to do, how to do, what it should feel like, what it should smell like, what it should sound like. And that's exactly what the disciples did. So when people say culture is not important, I'm like, that's what the disciples were doing.
Mhm.
They were not just spreading the gospel, they were also telling them how to live
Mhm.
and what it should look like and what it should smell like. And so when you look at what they did, they spread culture.
Mhm.
It just now is more of a common buzzword in our church
Mhm.
than what it was in the past.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so good. Tariq wrote in, and feel free to continue to raise your hands, guys, and said, "What advice would you give to a leader that is tasked with starting and developing a ministry that didn't exist before in your church?" Maybe you can jump on that. You are the ministry starter.
Yes, ministry starter. Um, I would say, I mean, make sure that everything is aligned with the vision of the lead pastor first. Never start anything that is outside of the vision of the lead pastor and the direction. So I would ask lots of questions. One of the things we just started doing was vision one sheets here. And so I know we just started it, but it's what's the verbiage?
Mhm.
Why are we doing this?
Mhm.
Start with the why and the intentionality behind it. And so this one sheet gives you direction for how you're going to run, but it's got to stay within the vision of that. And if it goes outside of that, then you're doing the wrong thing. Secondary vision is important, like because we have a lot of visionaries that are around the table, but the lead pastor's vision is the priority.
And what if your lead pastor doesn't have a vision for this area? Then you got to get some vision and then take it to him or her to get it approved.
Yeah.
Because you need them to be in agreement with it. So if you start building a youth ministry that was never there and you start building it like alive, and then you bring it to your pastor like, that ain't what I want to do at all. That's a problem. So what you want to do is just present it to whoever the person is to say, are you in agreement with this? And so I think I go back to model with that as well.
Model. Yep.
And say, okay, I got to write it. I got to write the vision, make it plain. This is the ministry that I'm starting. This is where I would like to get it to. And so here's the vision, like the 1 year, 3 year goal, 5 year goal, and then just go out and build that thing.
Well, you show me one more thing. One more step of that process is to bring it back always and ask questions along the way. And then after you like 3 months in, here's the goal. 3 months in, so you're building it, and you're 3 months in. You come back. Am I still in the vision and the direction that you want me to be? Is there anything that you would want to see different? And ask questions. And I know that's been even with us, like one of the conversations even recently, like I'm going to bring this back to you and you're going to look at it and
Yeah.
see if you like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Let's see. Kamisha wrote in. She says, "Hello. My husband and I are youth pastors at a small church of about 30 to 50 members that attend regularly. Our church has been in ministry for 25 years, and all of the seasoned members and leaders are burned out and uninspired. Our lead pastors are bivocational and seem out of touch with where the ministry is going and what is important to this house. How do we support and encourage our leaders towards creating an excitement and growth based on the need of the church to maintain relevancy? Ooh, Kamisha, that's a lot because it's going to be hard to get anything happening if your lead pastors aren't excited about the ministry any longer. And I think that's what you said in there. You said like you feel like your lead pastors are bivocational and seem out of touch for the ministry and going and what's important to the house. So I think the best thing is to humbly try to meet with them and say, um, hey, where are we with this? What's your vision? I want to try to support it the best I can, and humbly, hey, I have a couple things that we could do to kind of help. And you got to see if sometimes you don't really know what's in that lead pastor's heart. You might think they're bivocational and burnout, but that's not really it. They feel unsupported. They feel discouraged. They don't know where to go. They don't really know who's with them. So I would just think in a church that size, I'm sure you can meet with the lead pastor. Just call a meeting and just say, Pastor, I've been praying about you. How can I help serve this house better? What's going on in your life that I could pray for more? Is it okay if I have vision for something that I would like to do? Can I present that to you? And if you get all those probing questions answered, say, hey, I got this idea for youth ministry, and here's my vision. Pa, 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 pa. What do you think? And if they say go run with it, okay,
And
cool.
I would say, Kamisha, just on your question, how do you handle that? I say, start with prayer, start with guidance, have a meeting, sit down with them, talk to them,
Mhm.
hear their heart, because you might be assuming something and a negative intent.
That's it.
So you get a positive intent, right?
Yeah.
So give them the benefit of the doubt.
Nicholas wrote in. He says, as a ministry team leader, do you have any advice on how to build a more diverse and representative team? Diversity for me goes many ways. It goes culturally or ethnically, and it goes, of course, age as well. I wrote a whole book called As It Is in Heaven. You can get it on Amazon if you want to. And I really talk about how to build a diverse church. For 10 years, we were an all black church, but God gave me a vision from the very beginning that we would be a church that resembled heaven. And I learned over the years that church is not like a corporate organization where you're paid to be there, or an athletic organization where you want to win championships. It's a social organization, meaning that you only invite who you do life with. So black people invite black people to church because that's a lot of times who they do life with. White people, Hispanics. So the only way to break out of that is that you got to be very intentional, and you got to have a culture where people are willing to be what I call bridge builders and barrier breakers. And so you have to have a theological framework for diversity, and not just because it's cool. And your theological framework is in the center of the gospel, which is Matthew 28:19. It says, go make disciples of all nations, all people group, all ethnos. So the gospel in its center is multicultural in its foundation. It's not black people go reach black people, white people reach white people. It's God's people reach all people. So the theological framing is that we are called, actually, there's enough power and love in the gospel that we go reach people that don't look like us. So for me, I have to believe that as a leader. I have to have other leaders around me that believe in that we're neither Jew nor Greek, bond or free, but one in Christ Jesus. So I have a theological foundation. Then here's the big one: intentionality. So whether it's be older people or different ethnicities, you got to be intentional. So when I had an all black church, had about 20 white people in my church, I formed what we call G3. And G3 was out of Galatians 3, where it says we're neither bond nor male or female, bond or Jew nor Greek, but one in Christ. It's not diminishing the importance of gender or anything like that. What it's saying is that in Christ Jesus, we're a lot more alike than different. Okay. And so I said, y'all gonna be my G3, and y'all 20 people, I need you to turn yourself into 200 people over 12 months. And the only way that I can do that is that I need you to say, this is my church, and get into places of visibility. So what I would do is I had a 50-50 principle where every camera shot, I wanted it to show 50-50, meaning some black people, some white people. So when we had two white people, you would probably get the most, they'd be in the shots, the same people. And that's not discrimination. It's just intentionality. See, discrimination is saying that I don't want you to be a part of this because you're different than us. Intentionality is saying that I love you so much that I'm going to make you feel that you're welcome here. And so even if I have to overemphasize something like put certain people on the stage, certain pictures on social media, my major thing is you are welcome here. And that's all people want to know. And as I was very intentional about the hires we made, the leaders that we promoted, you are welcome here. here, then it creates a snowball effect. And so I think that those principles, you got to apply them with wisdom. All right. Some people, and they was mad at me. All right. But now our church looks like heaven. They was mad at me because they don't understand it. You got to be able to watch this, lead through those moments because you have a vision that's bigger than what you see right now. And so to me, it was a holy conviction. It was like, I can't come to no all black church. I can't come to no all white church. I can't come to all Hispanic church. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's the demographic that you attract and where you are. But for me
Right.
and my calling, I don't like coming out. Like when we first started this Florida Mall campus, it was all young adults. And I was like, man, there ain't nothing but young people here. What I do, I got very intentional with the hires that we make and the people that we promote. And I came out this Sunday. And actually, even on our worship team, it's always been a little young at this campus. I came out this Sunday and I saw age on the worship team. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Love
yeah.
it.
That's what I like because I got to be intentional because I want older people to know. God knows we don't need a bunch of babies. We need spiritual fathers and mothers all through the house. So we want older people to come and be able to mentor this next
Yeah.
generation. So I don't know. Intentionality is huge
Yeah.
when it comes to diversity.
So good.
Hmm.
You talked about preference too,
Hmm.
and I think you had to put a lot of your preferences down to build the church that you are
Yeah, my
today.
musical preference, my clothing preference, you know, all of that.
You came to me when we launched this campus and you said, "Hey, it's very young.
Mhm.
Can you wear a suit and tie for a season?"
I did.
Yeah,
You ain't even followed through with
I
that
did. I wore a suit jacket and a tie
for a few days.
about 3 months. And I was like, "Yeah, whatever you need me to do, I will do it."
All right.
I bought like 5 suit jackets,
Oh yeah.
and I wore them. I mean, they're still in my office. I don't wear them very often, but they're still there.
Notice they're not
Uh,
in his closet;
that
they're in
right.
his office.
But you asked me to do it, and I
Mhm.
was like, "That's not my preference. My
Right.
preference is jeans, t-shirt.
Right.
But what you need me to do, I will step into it."
Yeah.
And I think that's important for all of us, no matter where you're at in the organization.
Sure.
It's not about your preference.
Mhm.
It's about what is needed to continue to attract the people that you need to attract.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so important that we all just take that step and understand.
Mhm.
Even lead pastors are willing to put their preferences down
Yeah.
so that they can build what God has called them to
Yeah.
build.
This ain't my church. This is Jesus's church. I just want to steward it well. I got one more here that I'll answer. This person wrote in. Eric said, when transitioning a staff person from one position to another, how would you vet that person for the new position? That seems like two questions because one is transitioning staff from one position to another, and then vetting a person. Oh, it's the same person?
Yeah.
Is that how you take it?
Yeah, I take it as like, oh, I'm moving Michael from this role to that role. How would I vet them for that position?
Here's the key. If they did not work out in the last position, be very careful with moving them to a new one. That was worth you coming
That's
today.
the mic drop right there.
No, really.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes we feel like if we move somebody to something new, man, it's going to unlock. And maybe it will. Maybe they were in the wrong seat on the bus and you got to use some wisdom. But I'm telling you, what we've seen mostly is when we try to move something that's not working, so it doesn't work over here, you know? So how do you vet them? That's the question.
Well,
That's a great question.
most of the time, it's not about their skill level. That's
Uh-huh.
not why they're not being successful. It's about their heart.
You think so?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you think about it, like when you put me into operations, I was an executive pastor before, but operations, I was like, okay, that's a new world for me. I stepped into youth pastor. I was successful as a youth pastor, not because I've done it before, not because I had the skill for it, because I had the heart for it. Your heart, when it's aligned and you know where you're going as a church and what the next step is, you're going to be at least marginally successful. That you're going to see some success. You're going to see that they're building teams. You're going to see that they're going to have people following them. They're a leader. They're like the same principles that made them successful in one season will make them successful in the
Yeah, I
next.
definitely don't want to refute that point because I think it's good. But I think the other side is that there's some people, I'm just thinking about someone right now that just don't have the skill set to,
Yeah.
you know? So I guess we go back to the question, how do you vet them is the question.
Well,
How do you make sure that you're not just spreading out your own pain?
Yeah. I mean, we do interviews. We even if you're moving a staff person,
Uh-huh.
we would interview them for the position.
Interview
We would
them.
assume that the position is completely vacant
Uh-huh.
and say, okay, well, we're still going to interview you. You're not guaranteed this position.
Mhm.
We're going to interview you for it and take them through that process.
And see if they're the best candidate
See if
for
they're
it.
the best candidate because they might be the best move for them, but not the best move for the
I think you
position.
guys, I think we got to get really, really good interviewing. And I don't mean just for a paid position, because some of you all, you know, you don't have a lot of paid staff, even for any position of leadership. We got to get really, really good interviewing. I think we can probably use AI and figure out, okay, what is the best interviewing? Because some people interview well. It's like, oh man, this person, they interview well. And then you get them in about 60, 90 days in it. You're like, oh, what have I done? So we have to figure out, maybe we can do a whole segment
Yeah.
of like, how can we make sure we're getting the right people in the right places? Because honestly, it's more painful and expensive for me to remove somebody.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So, sometimes it's unfortunately you have to let people go. And what the people don't know is that that is the worst. I just spent 2 years with you and spent about $200,000 trying to train you,
Right.
thinking you were going to be a long-term player. It is the most painful thing to do is to try to invest in someone that doesn't work out. So if we can figure out how not to do that, and like, I don't know if it's a personality test mixed with
I think it's both. It's a
a
lot of
retina
it. Yeah.
scan and a
We're
blood
gonna
test.
figure it out. Listen.
So that's to be determined. Oh man. You guys got anything else? Well, we only got a few minutes, so I guess I can't ask you that. We love you guys. We let me just encourage you very quickly. Um, don't get weary in well doing, for in due season you'll reap if you don't give up. The Bible says that a faithful man will abound with blessing. And if you continue to be faithful, stewarding the harvest field, we pray the blessing of God on you, the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, favor and joy. And I just pray multiplication for you as well, that you're coming into a season of growth, whatever your area is, just growth, growth. Healthy things grow. Remember that healthy things grow. And you've been made for this moment, created for this cause, positioned for this purpose. And I don't believe you're here by an accident. And so, hey guys, a couple things that I wanted to share with you before we're out for today. Um, if you want to come down to our leadership one day, it is happening on June the 8th. I know some of you all are out of town and in different nations, but if you want to come down, we're doing a leadership one day on June the 8th. You can come alone or you can bring your staff with you. We're going to be opening up our staff. Youth people are going to meet with youth people people with worship people. We're going to have a couple sessions. Pastor Josiah Silva from California, from Freedom House, is going to be here with me as we do a leadership one day for lead pastors, campus pastors, and everybody who would like to come. The second thing that I would love for you to come to would be a live conference that's coming up on November 5th through the 7th. Now, both of these things you got to get tickets for, and seating is limited. But our conference is an encounter conference. There are some things that you learn that's a natural principle about church growth and assimilation, but there's some things that are just caught. And we need to have atmospheres where we just have an encounter with God. And we need to put our staff in places where they can understand how to do healing rooms and prophetic rooms. We actually have a prophetic room, about 50 people, where people just sit down and pray over people prophetically. And some of you all you just need to be here to see that. But the Sunday after conference, we're going to do an Inside Alive. So if you do have staff, we'll take a Sunday, we'll have lunch together. We'll let you actually come on a Sunday with your team and shadow any areas that you want to shadow. And then last but not least, we'll do our Mentorship Monday in August. So we're going to be off for the summer in June because we have the Leadership one day in July because we all need some time off, and we'll come back strong in August. All right. And of course, you can reach out to us. I think we have emails. If you have anything, you need anything, my team will try to be there for you, and we'll continue to pray for you. And let me pray, and we'll be done for today. I hope you enjoyed this 60 minutes. As a matter of fact, can you do this? If you don't mind, if you get a chance, email us. Just let us know. I don't know if we're doing any good with this. I believe that we are, but let us know any testimonies that you have. If you can just encourage us and say, Pastor Ken, this has just been good for me. Or, hey, even suggest to us things that we could talk about or things that you think could bring value to you. We're not here because we need anything. We just want to bring value to the Big C Church and do life together. And so, Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you for every person that's tuning in today, those who will listen to the playback later. I pray for seasons of great favor, seasons of great miracles where you break natural laws with supernatural results. I thank you that we're not weary in well-doing, for the best is truly yet to come. I thank you that you bless those who are married with better marriages. I thank you that you bless our children and our grandchildren because we've been about your work, that our children will rise up and call us blessed. I pray that we're blessed in the city, blessed in the field. Cause our churches to resemble you, to carry your glory, and to make disciples like we never have before. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Love y'all. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.